update, a little bit of an update to Trump pushing for taxes on the wealthy, the top 1%, the top uno. So let's pull this up here. Oops. Shout out to Case Study QB. Trump taxing the left, or not taxing the left, outflanking the left by taxing the rich.
Tonight, a head-spinning political moment. President Trump is openly pushing for higher taxes on rich Americans.
You're giving up something up top in order to make people in the middle income and the lower income brackets save more. So it's really a redistribution. And I'm willing to do it if they want, but I actually think it's good politics to do it.
Now, if that sounds like it's coming out of left field, that's because it is. For a second, you might have thought you were on the campaign trail with Biden and Harris, or maybe even the Fight the Oligarchy rally with Bernie.
Biden and Kamala would never do that, tax the rich. That was more of like an AOC Bernie Sanders thing, but they said it half-assed.
Bernie Sanders and AOC, but no, that came from the Republican president of the United States, an idea that is antithetical to the party as it has existed for decades.
Redistributing wealth, but focus instead on how to create it.
And yeah, we're not going to be redistributing wealth.
He believes in redistributing wealth. That means taking money from one group of Americans and giving it to another.
Joel Rubin is with us at the table. I wish I could have had a camera on Jim's face when that Trump soundbite was playing. What was going through your head?
Well, when you hear redistribution, you guys did a nice job kind of going through history on redistribution of wealth. But I do think it's important. This is on folks that make over $2.5 million a year. You're not talking about people who are making $200,000 a year, $400,000 a year.
Up.
This is $2.5 million per year that he's looking to increase taxes on. I think it's going to be a very difficult hurdle to get something like that through Congress. But I also think it's a message that Grover Norquist isn't controlling this administration, right? The no tax pledge is something that Donald Trump isn't open to anymore. So I think it opens the door to a big discussion for working class
Are you good? $2.5 million, $5 million, maybe $5 million for couples.
Yeah, I mean,
fine to increase taxes.
I'm anti-tax all the time, get rid of all the taxes. So personally, no, I don't agree with taxes, but I don't think that's what the president's saying. I think this is a negotiating tactic, but I also think the populism he found, came from, you had years of the establishment on both sides, neglecting the middle and lower classes in the country. And Trump was able to tap into people who felt neglected. I mean, 50 years ago, people would put in their, obituaries where they worked because they cared about their company. They felt like they were making money. And that does not happen anymore. They're forgotten. And both parties, frankly, Bernie does a rally, but he didn't win your primary. You fixed it for Hillary Clinton to win. So with Congress,
his own party.
With both, they're going to be blue. Well, you don't really have any blue dog Democrats.
To be honest, we got some Democrats here.
Oh, great. Nothing like a crowd talking and pontificating about Trump. So first of all right, taxing the rich, or is it that Trump proposing to tax the rich? There's always going to be a loophole. If you think people like Zuckerberg or Bezos or Musk, which, by the way, again, those three have very close ties to Donald Trump. I don't think any one of those three people want to be paying taxes. All right. What this is Trump just raising up and perhaps going after billionaires that the Democrats like better. For example, billionaires that don't like Trump. Billionaires that seem to have maybe hit Trump's ego, okay? Because we've seen how this administration acts, especially towards people that are extremely critical of it. There's going to be tax the rich, but tax these certain rich people or these entities. Always a loophole, always a wiggle room. If you're not part of the club, you better get to it, because that's how it's played all the time. The rich always find a way out. So there could always be this talk about taxing the rich. But see, it's always words unless action is done. I want to play a little bit more of this. Well, just a tiny bit more of this whole talk about taxing the rich, because of course, you have people saying, "Oh no, that would be Bernie Sanders or AOC." I can't even believe the audacity of even speaking out that this would be something that Kamala Harris or even Joe Biden would be talking about. When Joe Biden and Kamala Harris were everything, they were all on board for being part of the top 1%. Getting access to all that money and power. Let's just play a little bit more of this. Just a little bit more of this. Case study QB. I don't know how you sit through it, but you're made out of stronger stuff than me, my friend. Let's play a little bit more of this.
Against his policy. In the budget, in the first budget reconciliation, Democrats put up amendments saying, we like every tax cut except for tax cuts for people over $1 million. And every Republican voted no. They raised it up to 5 million. Every Republican voted no. They raised it to $1 billion. Just no tax cuts for people over $1 billion. Every Republican voted no. So the problem for him is his party. But I will say, I'm standing here happily saying, I think Donald Trump is absolutely right that we should tax wealthy Americans more and not cut Medicaid. I mean, that's the decision. Right now, Republicans in Congress are trying to take away people's health care, children's health care. There's data that children will be the largest number of people who lose healthcare from their plans. Take away healthcare from children in order to pay for a tax cut for billionaires.
Hey, Near Tandon, Jimmy Dore and everyone else's progressive best friend. The one who's always been on our side always. Good to see her.
Okay, I have to. I want to play this just because, Lord knows, we may have forgotten this. Do you remember Joe the plumber? Okay, well, let's play what Joe the plumber said about this way back in the day of 2008.
His answer actually scared me even more.
How so?
He said he wants to distribute wealth. And I mean, I'm not trying to make statements here, but I mean, that's kind of a socialist viewpoint. I worked for that. It's my discretion who I want to give my money to. It's not the government's to decide that I make a little too much, and so I need to share it with other people. That's not the American dream.
I mean, the word redistribute, well, like I cannot believe that Trump used that word. Does he not understand how politically charged that is for Republicans?
Well, here's the thing, what everyone gets wrong about Trump. I mean, he's not held to those same political standards, right? So no one is here, no one in Ohio or anywhere tonight is saying, oh my gosh, he used that word. Now, I do think that Democrats are going to be, having a message conflict here, because you can't say that congressional Republicans do whatever Donald Trump says and then here sit at the same table and say they are disagreeing with him. It's healthy. We should disagree on policy to get to a better ending. It happens all the time. It happened with President Bush. It happened with President Reagan. It happened literally. It is healthy to represent your district and your state. And so to say that Republicans just do whatever Donald Trump says and now say they disagree.
I'm happy to argue. I'm really happy to argue.
Okay. I like to handle so much of Near Tandon. My brain. I thought she rode off into the sunset, but it's okay. It's okay. Never mind. I thought she did, but I was wrong. I was so wrong. So the takeaway of all of this, everything that's being proposed before us. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, indeed. Now you have the Republicans worried that Trump is going to be distributing wealth, that now he's a socialist and a communist, that he's a Marxist, that he's a Leninist, that he's a Stalinist, that he's all these things. Until I see it done, until I see a law get passed or either that, I am very interested to see just overall how Trump will face off against the Republicans. Because the key thing is here is that what a lot of people forget is that there are a lot of people across the political spectrum in this country, no matter what state you live in, that do agree on this. The top 1% have it very easy. I mean, they're able to live their lives to the fullest. They are able to really enjoy the benefits while the rest of us are stuck under their thumb. And so, will Trump rally his base and say, hey, these Republican lawmakers, they want to make sure these billionaires are screwing you over? You already have him talking about going after big pharma, but the consistency and follow through is going to be key. Now, watching a lot of my colleagues in independent media, especially talking about how this administration is going after protesters and dissidents and people who are speaking out, especially what's happening in Gaza or these wars or what's happening with immigration. Everyone, don't put your stock into this. All of this sounds good on paper or through words, actions and deeds. But the thing is, I don't trust any politician. All of this sounds great, sounds good on paper. It does. It sounds really good. But critical thinking is key. And I would not put stock or investment in anything a politician says, because there's always going to be a screw effect. And the person being screwed is going to be you.